It is do or die for GM. General Motors, Mary Barra, they are up on deck. They either go ahead and start producing and actually turning their words into actions, or they will go by the wayside. In today's episode, we're going to review a video today, an interview with Mary Barra and CNBC, and we're going to look at the words she's saying yet again, but no actions to follow up. In my opinion, this is it. This either happens and comes to fruition, or they are done as a company, and I do not think they'll get another bailout. Do me a favor, if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and well, let's see what you think. Before we get into it, let's review this clipping from CNBC before we actually look at an interview. So here we can see it says that the Equinox EV production at General Motors Ramos Arizpe plant in Mexico will ramp up gradually in the coming years. Ramp up gradually in the coming years. Remember that. It goes on to say that the Equinox EV is expected to join electric versions of the Silverado pickup, the Blazer SUV, and the less expensive and smaller Bolt EV and EUV models for Chevrolet. GM CEO Mary Barra last year said that the Detroit automaker can absolutely catch industry leader Tesla in U.S. sales of electric vehicles by 2025. Those plans include more than 1 million units of EV production capacity in China and North America, each by that time. Let's unpack that real quick. I want to go back here. So she says once again that they can catch Tesla. And what they're saying here is that they predict that by 2025 that GM can reach 1 million vehicles in China and 1 million vehicles in North America. Again, read this. Those plans include more than 1 million units of EV production capacity in China and North America each. That means a total of 2 million. All right. Right now, they can't get to 100,000 by 2025. Okay, so big goals here. Let's finish this. Barra on Thursday told CNBC's Phil LeBeau that the automaker expects to ramp up production of the Equinox EV far more quickly than its current EVs. She said the vehicle should be close to full production by the first quarter of 2024. Okay, there's lots of contradictions here, but you're not really going to see it until we go through the interview. Let me just call it out now so when we go through the interview, you're aware of it. So if we read the top here, it says that Bell said the Equinox EV production at GM's Mexico plant will ramp up gradually in the coming years. So it'll ramp up gradually in the coming years. At the very bottom, you hear Mary Barra saying that it's going to ramp up quickly and should be at essentially full ramp by 2024. The big contradiction here is that it's not actually going to go into production until the end of 2023. And somehow they're going to be at full ramp in first quarter of 2024. So which one is it? And then on top of that, you'll hear Mary Barra say that they're going to essentially be at full ramp. Not only are they going to be at full ramp, but they're also going to be bringing these vehicles at a $30,000 range. So we'll watch this interview and we'll unpack it. Let's get into it.
General Motors Chair and CEO Mary Barra on a big day as you unveil the new EV for General Motors coming out next year, the Chevy Equinox, the electric version of this. We're going to talk about some of the importance of this in terms of broadening out the lineup, but one of the big parts of this is you're bringing this in at a price point that's going to be far below what people are seeing in the electric vehicle market right now, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it'll have a starting price around $30,000, and that's the sweet spot of the market. So we're really excited, and you know, people will see this vehicle is loaded with technology. It's got over 17.7-inch screen. It has opportunity to order Super Cruise, which is the industry-leading driver assistance technology, safety features. This is a vehicle that is going to surprise and delight our customers.
All right, let's take a pause there. So you hear her talk about the $30,000 price target. Now, they do have the Bolt, right? The whole Chevy Bolt, the Volt, all that whole lineup, and it's doing horrible. All right, so they can't even get those to sell. So I don't know if price is the determining factor here. I think I really push back when people say that the reluctance for people to adopt EVs is price. I think the price is at a point now where it's kind of like the iPhone, where the iPhone was overpriced for the longest time, yet look what happened. People were willing to shell out $1,000 for a phone. I think the same thing's happening with EVs. Well, with some EVs, not all. Chevy Bolt, for example, can't get any traction. Now, she also talks about it's going to have technology. And her first thing she says when it comes to technology is a 17-something inch screen. That's not technology. I have these screens right in front of my face right now. There's nothing special about that. She goes on to talk about leading industry. I forget how she said, but ADAS system, autonomous drive, something like that. Cruise, and they can. It's not industry leading. Like that's not true at all. Tesla's the leader. I guess maybe you could say that they're in the top 3, top 5. Sure, I guess if you're gonna make that argument, but still, it's not. I wouldn't say it holds a candle to Tesla's FSD beta. Not that I've used it. I've only used FSD beta, but I can see the breadth of what is out there. And based on what I can tell from my background, my experience, I would say FSD is by far the clear number one. Now, moving forward, just keep in mind, she mentioned the $30,000 price target. Also keep in mind that there are other options in that price range, and even down to $20,000 price range are not doing well at all. So this notion that it's a price thing, I think it's a fallacy.
You say $30,000. Now, we've heard this from a number of executives in the auto industry over the last several years where they say, oh, yeah, we're going to come in under $40,000. Then when it gets close to production time, it's far higher than that. That's one of the big knocks on EVs right now is the cost is so much higher than what people are willing to spend, or a large portion of the market are willing to spend.
Bravo, Phil LeBeau. You're about to hear Phil LeBeau actually ask her, is this going to happen? Are we going to come in at $30,000? People always talk about it. We hear a lot of lip service, mainly from, guess who, GM. But we hear all this lip service, and all of a sudden, we don't get these vehicles at this price range. It's almost like it's just a hype machine. That's all they care about. Marketers doing marketing things. Kudos to Phil LeBeau. He's calling her out on it. He's asking her, and listen to her answer. Listen to see if she ever says yes, that they're going to come in at a $30,000 price. Watch what happens. I promise you. Come the time this goes to be announced or unveiled, we're going to hear, well, you know, those were different times. That was 2022. Now we're in 2024. Things have gotten more expensive. The average price of a vehicle is more expensive, yada, yada, yada. Watch. Just wait.
Can you promise that this will come in at $30,000?
We're going to have all trim levels available when we start. At each trim level, you can get 300 miles range if you choose, and we will have that entry level vehicle because General Motors, we've said, and especially Chevrolet, we really want to get everyone into an EV and make them attainable. So that's why this vehicle is so important for the market.
She did not say yes. She did not promise they will. She said that about an entry level. She didn't say the $30,000 price target, which is the big announcement here. Like that's the big deal. Otherwise, this is not that big of a deal. And also, keep in mind, she misspoke here. She said that every trim level is going to have 300 miles range, but I was just watching Tesla Daily, and on there, the very first trim level only had a 250-mile range. And on top of that, none of them were EPA rated. Guess why? Because they don't exist yet. So interesting that the CEO just failed on that. Unless I'm mistaken, keep me honest. I want to be less wrong. So let me know down below in the comments. But as far as I can tell, CEO got it wrong. CEO refused to have conviction on their price target.
Driving down that cost is the battery technology, right. The chemistry that goes into those batteries. What are you seeing in terms of bringing down those costs right now?
Well, as we said when we talked about Ultium, I think Ultium gives us a special advantage because we started working on the Ultium platform back in 2018. It goes all the way from a Equinox-sized vehicle up to the super truck, Hummer, and even Bright Drop, and that's scalable. So we're getting that scale as we ramp up. We're going to see cost advantages because of that. And then you're absolutely right. Because of the battery, we saw from Gen 2 to Gen 3 with Ultium that 40% reduction, and we think we've also talked about getting a 60% reduction by mid to late decade, and we're working with not only in our own R&D battery lab, but also working with a lot of startups and other companies because there still is technology that will improve the cost of batteries, and we want to be ready to seize it from wherever it comes. That's why we recently just opened a lab where we're not just working on the development of the chemistry, but how do you process it, how do you build it at scale, and how do you make sure it's automotive grade. So,
you know how you can tell when somebody doesn't actually know what they're talking about or that they don't have the knowledge behind what they're saying is when they use certain words like the technology. That's like saying, yeah, the science, because I don't know how to go any deeper than saying the science or the technology. That's all she does here, right? And the chemistry, the processing, the production, right? she doesn't know what she's saying. All right. So it's funny to hear this, but keep in mind that what she's referring to, this Ultium plant that just opened, is, I believe, in Ohio. And it's not really GM. It's essentially a co-op partnership with, I believe it's LG, where LG is doing the actual R&D. I'm not really sure how much involvement GM has. I'm sure there's some people there, but it's really LG doing this. And I think the way the structure worked is that GM paid for the facility, and then LG will come in and essentially like lease the space. That's a very rudimentary way of speaking about it, but that's my understanding of it. So it's not like this Ultium platform is anything revolutionary, right? They're not doing anything groundbreaking. She claims that they're going to reduce the cost by 50%, yet nobody will say how they're going to do that, right? We saw during Battery Day how Tesla plans on doing it. They're taking out multiple steps within the manufacturing process. They're going to hopefully dry electrodes, going away from all of the wet process, removing that out of the steps. They're going into a bigger form factor, so you get more power density. You have thinner casing. The structural pack is a big part. Tesla actually explained what was happening. You didn't just hear them say the technology. Yeah, there's more improvement in the technology. So I don't know. When I hear people not be able to go in depth and they're the ones being interviewed, it lacks credibility. It really does. The best thing I think they could do is bring on one of their battery engineers, one of their electrical engineers, and have them speak to what's going on here. Instead of Mary Barra trying to look like the CEO of NVIDIA, wearing a leather jacket all the time. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to poke fun at her, but enough's enough. All this talk and no results. Now, I don't want them to go out of business, right? But at the same time, I feel like the writing's on the wall. All right, they're not profitable. They're not going to make money on this $30,000 vehicle. I promise you, they will not make money on it. They're going to lose money on it. So that makes me believe that they're not going to ramp up to the bigger than Tesla. And what happens when they're not bigger than Tesla? What happens when this doesn't actually come to fruition? Anyways, let's keep watching.
I see tremendous opportunity to still get costs down.
How important is next year in terms of, you've got 3 major EVs coming out, and you've had EVs coming out this year, but this is really the big push starting next year.
Okay, this is the whole point of this video, the whole point of the thumbnail. Do or die. Next year is do or die for GM. All right, Phil LeBeau just set it up perfectly there. Next year is the big push. The Hummer's doing crap. The Lyric's doing crap. The Bolt's doing crap. So everything they currently have, they're not doing well in sales, whether it's a production issue, whether it's a battery issue, whether it's a chip issue. I don't really care what the issue is. They're not doing well, period. Not even just with their EVs, but with their ICE vehicles as well. They're not doing well. So let's hear what her response is to next year. Is next year do or die? You tell me what she thinks.
I am so excited about next year, what we have coming. Building on the Hummer truck, the Hummer SUV, the Lyric, and then next year, it's the Chevy Silverado, it's the Blazer, and then the Equinox. It is a big year for us, and what's key to it is this battery plant that we have in Ohio is going to enable us to really start scaling, because we're going to have the cells being made in this country. So next year's a huge year. I can't wait, because we're going to unleash the power of General Motors.
You start production with these next year. When does the production really kick in? Is it by the end of next year, or is it more likely early 24?
Well, for the Equinox, we're going to ramp quickly. So it starts, toward the end of next year, but, I think we'll be, really close to full production by first quarter of 2024. So the Equinox is a very quick ramp because of all the learnings we've had with Ultium, with the products like Hummer and Lyric.
So do you remember that article we were reading, where they said it's going to be a slow ramp? Yet here she is saying that it's going to be a quick ramp for the Equinox. So maybe they were just talking about the Equinox. It's not the way the article read, at least not in my opinion, not the way I took it. But she's also saying that it's going to start at the end of 2023 and ramp up quickly into 2024. If there's one thing we've learned from every automaker, including Tesla, ramping up a new vehicle is not easy. And I would say that if there's any company I would have confidence in doing it, it's Tesla. And Tesla still has struggles with it. There's still growing pains. And the reason I have such disbelief for them, for GM doing this, is because they haven't even done it once. They haven't done it with the Bolt. They haven't done it with the Hummer. They haven't done it with the Lyric. So why would I have any confidence they can do it with the Equinox? Oh, because they have this Ultium battery platform? Hey, guess what? You have to ramp that up as well. What headaches, what issues are you going to run into that? Especially if this is a new revolutionary battery platform, which I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it is. That's not going to happen overnight. That's going to have its own problems. It's going to have its own challenges. So this is very disingenuous in my opinion. I guess, look, I get it. She's the CEO. She's got to put confidence out there. I get that. The problem I have is when she repeatedly says that they're going to pass Tesla in 2025. Like, ignore Tesla. Just forget Tesla. Worry about you. Put your mask on first. Because right now, you are so worried about Tesla that you are forgetting to put your mask on and you are going to perish.
And the changes that have been announced in the new tax plan that the Biden administration has put forth. Will most people who want to buy this be able to get the full benefit of the tax incentives that have been laid out?
Well, we're still watching very carefully as Treasury really puts the guidelines around it. But we're, really one of the few OEMs that is really well positioned, because we made the decision before we even knew the IRA was going to, be signed into law. The battery plants in the United States, we worked and we have already done the sourcing of the raw materials we need. And for as much as possible, they're either, onshore or ally shore. Now, some of that we've got to develop new capacity in North America. And we've made announcements to do that. But I think we're very well positioned, and we'll look to see what we can get from day one.
And that's my final question. Where's the big pinch point right now when it comes, not just for General Motors, but for the industry overall, for wider adoption of electric vehicles?
Well, I think for us, I can't speak for the whole industry, but for us, it'd be, the battery plant that's, just started producing a couple weeks ago. That's going to be key for allowing us to ramp up, build more Hummers, more Lyrics, and then the Chevy Silverado, the Chevy Blazer, and the Chevy Equinox. And, getting to the sweet spot of the market where most people buy their vehicles. Over 20% of the market buys vehicles in this price range. So that's why I'm so excited, and that's why I think General Motors is so well positioned.
All right, so a lot to unpack there. So first of all, let's go back to the Inflation Reduction Act. Figure that one out. Let's spend more money to reduce inflation. Yeah. Anyways, that's got issues on itself. She dodges the question. Philbo asked, will people be able to use the full credit? The answer is no. Why is the answer no? Well, because that article we read before, which explained that the EV credit will be only applied to vehicles made in the United States with batteries sourced depending on where, allied countries, and then they have to be assembled in the U.S., etc. The biggest part of that is that the vehicle has to be made in the U.S. Well, guess what? These plants are in Mexico. So for all you people out there who are all about the UAW and union jobs and all that, well, this American company supposedly is really giving work and taking all the good American paying jobs and outsourcing them. So somehow that's the America GM lives in. In this world where every country is trying to, re-centralize things back, in their home ground and not be dependent on Russia or China or anyone else, at least countries that are potentially, at odds with them. GM sure is doing this in a very weird way. Not saying Mexico's at odds with us, right? I love Mexico. I love going down there. But the point is, we are in the United States. This is U.S. taxpayer money. So we want to keep it here. And again, if you're going to fight for union jobs and all that, well, why aren't they in the United States? Again, I just always have a problem with unions. It comes to this simple question. At what point are unions not necessary? At what point would a union head or board, say, okay, mission accomplished? If there's never a mission accomplished moment, then what's the point of the union? It's to protect the employees and to fight for the employee. But what happens when the company is doing a good job and fighting for the employee and doing all the right things and going above and beyond what the union ever asked for? Well, then mission accomplished. Unions should go away. But that doesn't happen. Why? Because unions are a business. They make money. Their boards, the people at the top, they get filthy rich. And then guess what? A lot of these unions go bankrupt, or those union leaders end up going to jail, a la UAW. All right. So then she goes on to say that her current, let me move in the center here, that that GM's bottleneck right now are batteries. And that's why it's such a big deal that this battery plant is coming online. Look, maybe I could believe this if it wasn't excuse after excuse after excuse, right? The first excuse was chips, all these issues with chips. Yet nobody else seems to have these issues with chips. Now it's batteries. Okay, this battery plant is coming online. All right, let's see what happens there. Let's see if that ramps up. I hope it does. We'll see what happens. My biggest takeaway from all of this is that it doesn't matter what the price range is. It doesn't matter if you have all the chips, you have all the batteries. It doesn't matter if you have the technology, aka the 17-inch screen. What people want is two things. They want brand and they want software. Okay, and that's what they don't have. They don't have the brand, in my opinion, right? Sure, Apple, GM, it is a notable brand, as is Ford. But they are like, again, I hate to always go back to this like phone analogy, smartphone analogy, but they are like the BlackBerry. Yeah, BlackBerry was a notable phone. So was Nokia, right? Those were really popular brands, but they couldn't hold a candle to Apple. Apple was this next level, right? Every kid wanted it. Same thing with Tesla. I always say, look at the kids, follow the kids. They know things before any of us know, right? They are so ahead of the times. If you just invested in what kids normally would like gravitate towards, what they obsessed with, you would be such an amazing investor. Anyways, so I really think that this is it. I think Mary Barra, GM, this is their last ditch effort. It better happen in 2023. This Ultium battery plant better really crank them out. And the Equinox, the Blazer, the Chevy Silverado. Look, they're going to have the Bolt. They're going to have the Hummer. They're going to have the Cadillac Lyriq. They're going to have the Blazer. They're going to have the Silverado. And they're going to have the Equinox. That's 5 different vehicle trims. All right. What's Tesla have? Tesla has the 3, the Y, the S, the X, and soon the Cybertruck. They all have 5. So GM will have by far the most vehicle models out there. Sure, you can throw Semi in there and it's a tie, but we'll leave that to the side. If this is the case and they still can't catch up, they still can't even pass Ford. They can't even get in the top 4 or 5 of the list of EV producers, right? I think right now it's Tesla, then maybe Volkswagen, maybe BYD, then Ford, and then everybody else. If they can't even crack that list, I think they're done. She will be canned, right? This was my 2022 prediction, right? New Year's. I don't know if you guys remember those videos. Go check them out. It was my New Year prediction for 2022. I had that Mary Barra would be canned as CEO. Might be wrong. I might be off by a year. We'll see what happens. All right, let me know in the comments down below, guys. Do you think this is do or die for GM? Also, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do, feel free to hit the like button. It is free. Hit the subscribe button if you want to. Enjoy football tonight, Thursday night football. So I'm excited for it. I got my fantasy draft all lined up. So let's hope that Cup does some good stuff tonight because he's on my team. All right, I love you all. Really enjoyed this, but I need more interaction. I think tomorrow or Friday I'm going to do a live stream, so look out for that link. All right, I love you all. Peace.